set.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is it yours?
So if everybody's had an opportunity to review the minutes, may I get a motion to adopt the minutes as distributed from March 2nd and March 16th.
I'll move it. I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay. So we're going to have a public hearing on the CDG Community Development 5-year plan. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is now open. Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the 5-year plan? Okay, hearing none.
Okay. Is that, that's regarding, could you explain that a little bit better?
The 5-year plan?
Oh, well,
The
is,
5-year plan is projects, our
okay,
projects.
that's the projects that are
That's
a
the
piece of
projects.
paper. Okay,
Yeah.
does that include, the backup power?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I would like to speak to. I just wanted to make sure
Okay.
I wasn't coming out and speaking about the wrong thing. Fred Birch, 886 5 Plainville Road, and I apologize in advance if I don't have my facts straight and some of what I might say not be pertinent. From the limited amount of research that I've done on it, I'm all in favor, is everybody I've talked to as far as the highway department is concerned. That is a vital department for our township, especially in the winter, and it makes sense to not only have them to have the capacity where they can operate 24/7, but you need that type of thing if we ever have to thaw out a truck or work on a truck, or, hope that thing doesn't happen, but we'd be stuck if we didn't have that type of setup. As far as the town hall is concerned, I'm a little bit mystified as to why we think we would need something like that here. I've done a little research, and from my knowledge, the power has gone out at this building during work hours twice in the last 10 years. Once for an hour and once for 2/3 of a day. The time that it went out for 2/3 of the day was last June, and was the day I came here to fight my tax grievance, as were hundreds of other irate people. I just want to tell you that the town employees and the people that they brought in to help during that process were phenomenal. And they got through that whole process with no hitches. And as far as backup power for this building, I think that would be a bridge too far. If we ever lost it for a day, people could work from home. We've seen during COVID that we can do that. As far as using this facility, in my opinion, as an emergency center, when there be a local catastrophe or something, it's a huge snowstorm or a tornado or whatever, honestly, I don't see anybody in our community looking to this facility as a lifeboat and a place to do something like that. In my opinion, I don't think a single town employee would think to themselves, oh geez, the power went out for a day or two. I'm gonna abandon my house and go down to town hall where there's power. And I mean, where would people sleep if they had to stay overnight? Who would come down here to monitor this place during an event like that, to keep watch over it? Because we're certainly not going to let people run rampant through the building. There's a lot of good ideas out there that really aren't worth the funding. In my opinion, if we have funding that's use it or lose it, I think there's a lot of other places in our town where we can get better a better, more for our money than to outfit this building with that type of expenditure for backup power. We've somehow got by in this facility for 20 some odd years. I don't think that we need it right now. And I just think there's some other things in our township that we could use that money towards. The highway grade. Now, we've talked about an additional cold weather building for the highway for about 10 years now too, and I don't see that we've gotten any movement on that, and I think our money would be better served putting it in that direction if we could.
These are all grants, so they're all specific, for a specific project.
Okay.
And that money that you're talking about, when they applied for the grant, the amount of money that they applied for covered the amount of money that it would cost to erect that building. It doesn't now.
It doesn't now,
It's probably 75% short of it. Well, not $75,000 short of that, about.
And I can understand, and and that's what I speak to when I say, hey, I don't know all the facts. I have ideas and opinions, but I don't have all the information. I'm coming up with, what I know, and I appreciate that. I just think that that's some type of things that if we could all possible, obtain grants or steer our grant towards that. I just think that that's something that our community could probably benefit more from than say here. I honestly don't think there's, in my opinion, we have a public hearing here tonight and there's just the normal people that show up. And I know you advertised it. For something like this, I want to see a lot of people show up, and it's an indication, in my opinion, of how many people would be aware of that type of setup in the event that we did have a bad situation, a catastrophe. In other words, I think there's 90% of our community that wouldn't even be aware that this would be a facility for that.
They will be.
Where are we going to put cots? Are we going to roll them up and put them in closets?
We're going to have facilities available. A lot of that stuff, and we don't have time to go into the whole thing.
Who's going to monitor them while they're here?
No, this place would be running. There'd be people in here 24/7.
Who?
Town personnel.
Because it's difficult to get people to show up for a 35-hour work week now.
Not only town personnel, there'd be other people, because this would be used as a command post. And if we have to use it as an evacuation center, it's going to be staffed 24/7. That's part of an emergency management plan that we're starting to work on with fire, EMS, Onondaga County, the town,
Okay.
the town of Van Buren, and we're going to get the police departments involved. But we'll be talking about that in the future once we get going on that. But some of the things you're talking about, this is a necessary facility to be operating 24/7. And we're not the only ones that are doing that. Multiple communities throughout the state are using this ARPA money, and this isn't ARPA money, this is money coming from the county through state money, are using this money and ARPA money to outfit their facility with generators, because you need them. And some people would say, okay, during a catastrophe, we get to count. Well, all you got to do is look at one. When you had the Labor Day storm, Onondaga County couldn't do it because I happened to be in the command post in the Civic Center with about 30 other people for 3 days, rotating. But they can't come out and help us in every situation. That's when towns have to operate on their own. So we have to have a facility. If you do, all you got to do is look at Palestine. What did they do with those people that had to evacuate when they had with a train derailment? Where are they going to go? It's not just this place. You have to have multiple places. But this has to be a place that we can operate.
I understand it, and I can appreciate, your side of, what you're talking about. Just honestly, I mean, if I were to ask the town employees that are here by a show of hands, I mean, if we had and we lost power 3, 4, 5 days, how many people would honestly come down here and hang out here 24/7 as opposed to hunker down in their house or go to find a relative or friend or a neighbor?
It's not just for that. There's, and like I said, I don't have time to go through all of it. There's a multitude of things that you would need if we had a situation in this town where this would be used as a command post. And if this was used as a command post, you'd have fire, EMS, highway, Niagara Mohawk, state DOT, Onondaga County Emergency Management. We'd have personnel, depending on how big it was, we'd have personnel from the Ballsville Police Department, the state police, sheriff's department. I'm talking in a large thing. So that's what emergency facilities are used for. That's done throughout the United States.
Okay, I appreciate that. I mean, I've, like I said, I've been here almost 56 years, and I've lived through the '93 storm, the snowstorm. That was about the worst I ever saw, but there was one in '66, a year before I was born, that I heard was pretty bad. We don't get tornadoes, we don't get earthquakes, you know, we don't get flooding here. I mean, we get some snowstorms every once in a while. Probably about the biggest threat that we'd have to do is with something like that where it come in handy would be maybe a war with China or something like that. I hope we don't have that, but I just don't anticipate any major catastrophes in our area to where we would need a command center. But I would like to, if at all possible in the future, I know when you make notifications to the people for a public hearing, there's a standard procedure you have to go through where you have to make the notification in the local newspaper, and then you put it up on the website, and then you put it up on the billboard in your building. And that's, you know, the limited state or county, you know, mandates for what you need to do. I'd like to see our town, if at all possible, go above and beyond that. Make other attempts to reach the public. It would be nice, in my opinion, if we had filled chairs here for other ideas and other opinions to try to hone in a better product.
Come to the next meeting. I guarantee you we'll have plenty of chairs, plenty of people here for that meeting.
And just so you understand, this CDBG grant can only apply in a certain area in the town. And town hall, highway, sit in that area. We're confined by the rules as to what we can, where we can apply, and what we can apply, and how we can apply it. So I've asked, you know, if we do get approval, then the board's next step would be to decide, because we could change the scope.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I wasn't sure, you know, Kevin and Bob, but I just wanted a little bit more clarification about where the monies were coming from. I understand that ARPA funds, you know, use it or lose it. And so this is a different grant or different funding and can go towards,
Well, it goes towards specific things. We have to
for this building.
We have to identify, well, not only this building, but the highway garage, and we have another project in there, but the project has specific criteria that we have to meet. So these two, the generators was a project that met the criteria.
Okay. So just to reiterate, I'm all for it at the highway department. You know, I still got...
I think we know where you stand.
Okay.
I think we can.
Showed you the enough passion. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. All right. If there's nobody else, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing's now closed. Citizens' comments regarding agenda items. Any citizen wishing to speak on agenda items? Okay. Town board comments. We'll start with you tonight, Mr. Rowe.
Thanks those for coming, for the people watching, for those who are home. In the next month here, you're going to see probably one of the biggest projects, and definitely in my lifetime, go through with the incentive zoning process. You know, it's a big deal. So as Mr. Birch was reiterating, I hope a lot of people come out to the public hearings and make their comments known and let the board know, because we're going to have a big decision ahead of us. Currently, the project has, you know, possibly 30 apartment buildings, 10 townhomes, regular homes, a solar farm. There's a lot going on, so please be informed and show up and give us your feedback. Thank you. That's it.
Just want to thank everyone for coming out. It's nice to see some new faces here. Appreciate everything that you did at the highway this winter. So I did hear that you guys are going to be taking the plows off pretty soon, so winter's officially over.
Yes,
Hopefully, so.
I'm putting the stake in the ground.
Yeah, as Pete would say, I'll be putting my shovel away, you know, but other than that, I have no comments. Thank you.
Similar comments. I see the sun shining out there, so spring is here. It's a good feeling. And I was impressed with the highway department this winter, as I always am. So good job on that.
Okay. One of the things that our town clerk and I have been talking about, the agenda is my responsibility, but Ms. Falcone helps me put it together, and she's actually the one who types it up and puts it on our website. And she fields calls from people that want to get the agenda like yesterday. The problem with that is, in order for us to conduct business, we have to have it on the agenda. So some things like this letter of intent that we're going to talk about tonight, or actually next week, we didn't finish doing that until late yesterday afternoon. We didn't have all the documents that we could put on the website. We didn't even have all the information. So some of the things that when people want the agenda, we don't want to just throw out an agenda that's going to be incomplete, and then our town clerk has to change it 10 times, because sometimes she does have to change it 10 times between Tuesday and late Wednesday. So what we agreed on was we'll put out a draft on Tuesday sometime so that people can see what's going to be on the agenda. But that's subject to change, because if we have to conduct business and we need to put it on the agenda, the final agenda is going to be out by the end of business on Wednesday. And that conforms to the law. And the law, Albany passed a law recently that mandated that we had to have it out 24 hours ahead of time. That 24 hours ahead of time, in their opinion, gave citizens plenty of time to review the agendas so they could see whether they wanted to attend or not. Now, we're going to try and put it out on, we're going to put out an agenda on Tuesday, but that's subject to change. That's just a draft. And if we have to add some things in on it, that's just what we have to do. So if you want to see the final draft, that'll be on by the end of business on Wednesday of prior to our meeting days. April 22nd, we're going to have fire personnel at the town. It's going to be a recruitment day. All the, I think 5 fire departments are going to be here.
Yeah, actually we have 6.
6 fire
And
departments.
GBAC.
And GBAC, and we have the state police are actually going to be here for recruitment. I threw that out to them, and they accepted. So maybe you could send the organizer just a note that they're going to be here as well.
I'll send myself a note.
All right.
No, I'll let the other fire department know.
Yeah. So that's April 22nd from 10 until 2. So we're hoping to see a lot of younger people here, or older people to come, because they do need volunteers. And it's a worthwhile endeavor. And they're working on different things where maybe it's not going to be so demanding on your time. They're trying to, I know I went to the last public safety meeting, a fire public safety meeting, and they're trying hard to come up with ways where you can get, maybe you work a 24-hour shift or an overnight shift or something like that, and you schedule it, and then they can do things like that. So they're working on ways to make it fit into modern day living. You know, it's not like 40 years ago where people had, you know, really were into fire departments and seem to have more time. I know that people are busy, and they understand that as well. So there's a lot of demands on people's time, and they're trying to work with that, but that recruitment day, like I said, will be Saturday, April 22nd, 10 to 2. We're going to have food trucks here, and you'll be able to look at the apparatus. They're going to have a number of their apparatus here, and you can get your questions answered. So I hope that's well attended that day.
I hope the weather's good that day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
Earth Day?
Weather.
it is, yeah.
It is, yes. Speaking of
April
Earth,
20th, you said?
April 22nd.
Oh,
April 20th is our
20th is our next
board
one.
meeting.
With the,
You're invited. You're invited.
oh, were you gonna say something about the school board?
Yes.
Presentation, okay.
Yeah. At the next meeting, April 20th, the school board is going to, not school board, but the Dr. Davis, Dr. DeBarbery, and Vice President Kim Vile will be here to do a presentation on their upcoming budget for this year. That's going to be at 5:30 to 6:30. Normally that's our work session time, but I told them that we're going to devote our entire work session to them. So that, and I asked them, is it going to be question and answer? And it is. So if you want to come and you have questions, once you watch the budget presentation, you'll be able to ask questions as long as time allows. So depending on the amount of people that are here, I'm probably going to have a sign-up sheet in the back with people that may have questions. I'll take a look at it, and depending on how long the presentation goes and the number of people that signed up for questions, I'll limit it. I'll try to spread it out so everybody has an equal amount of time to ask their questions. So you might not get 10 minutes, but you might be able to at least get a minute or two to ask your questions, so you want to be concise with that. But that's at our next meeting at the work session, 5:30. The Radisson Lighting District, there's 200 or so, 236 lights in Radisson. Since they've been installed, the manufacturers had a problem with the specific lights that are in Radisson. So Mr. Yeager and I were on a conference call with them this morning, right? When did we do it? Yeah, this morning. I don't remember that. This morning, and I know that they've been going, we've had about 70 of them going that have been defective, they've been replaced. And so when people in Radisson, when you see your lights out, we want to make sure that you either call the RCA office or call my office so we can get them out and we can get them to repair them. Now, one of the things that we talked about today, they're going to warranty the lights, and that's great, but the big thing for us, it costs the town, if they aren't warranted, about $230 for them to come and fix them, the labor portion of it. Well, if you have 170 lights or 150 lights left that could be potentially defective, well, we're looking at somewhere around $30,000 if they all were defective. Hopefully they aren't, but we were talking with them today to try and work out a longer warranty as far as the labor as well as the lights themselves. So we're working on that. But anybody that lives in Radisson, make sure you call us right away so we can get them out. And they seem to be getting the lights in a reasonable amount of time now, right?
Yeah, it's definitely been better.
Yeah.
It's definitely been better.
Yeah. Okay.
Do they need the poll number? Would that help?
Yeah, poll number, location, and poll number is a big thing for notification.
So April 21st, I was notified by the management at Anheuser-Busch that they're going to have an Earth Day cleanup. Usually they clean up Brundage Road area. That's going to be in the afternoon on April 24th. So anybody that wants to participate in that, you can call my office and I'll put you on the list for that. Mr. Sweetak, are we going to be able to do the same thing we did last year with the trucks?
Yes.
Okay, I'll let them know.
What date did you say?
That's a
What, April 21st in the afternoon?
First.
Yeah, and I'll, that's all they gave me. I didn't respond back because I wanted to talk to Mr. Sweetak about the trucks before I got in touch with him. So when I find out, I'll give you the additional information. So if you're interested, you can check our website. I'll have Ms. Falcone put that on our website to state exactly what the time frame is. Usually we do it for about 4 hours and we clean up as much as we can, and normally it looks pretty good when we're through.
So that's a Friday.
That is a Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. And the letter of intent with Melvin Farms. So yes, there's going to be a substantial amount of housing going in if that moves through, and I hope it does. The substantial amount of housing that's going to be down in that area. But some of the benefits, there's far more benefits to that project than there are, far more pros than there are cons. First of all, it's going to enable the school district to tap into their sewer system, which will save them from Palmer School, because Palmer School is on a septic system, and that's getting ready to fail. So they'll be able to tap into that. And I think the last time, one of the estimates, we were looking at like $1.5 million that was going to save the school district, and that was a couple of years ago. So we're probably looking at somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million that it's going to save the school district, which saves every taxpayer in the Ballsville School District. The people along Hicks Road in those developments there, Camerondale and Gloria, people in Brickwalk, people in Amelia Park, as well as the houses around there, they'll be able to, the objective is to allow everybody form a water or sewer district there, and then everybody will be able to tap in there. So anybody on the southern part of Route 370, this goes a long way and saves the residents of those areas. They're putting in about $2 million worth of infrastructure that we wouldn't have to bond for that project. There's also going to be a little over 130 residences specifically designated for senior housing. And this community is sorely lacking with senior housing. Not only that, with Micron coming in, as people get older, a lot of people want to downsize, but where are they going to go? If they want to stay in the community, they have very few options. This will give them, and the development looks like it's going to be a first-class development. So seniors could move into that, and that would open up housing in the village and the surrounding town, as well as in Van Buren. So when we're looking at sprawl from Micron, that'll go a long way. If you got 135 units that seniors are moving into, well, they have to move out of somewhere. If they own a home, that opens up homes for other people that want to move into the community, maybe have a 3 or 4 bedroom residence, and we don't have to develop them later on. So there's many more benefits to this project than there are negatives. And we've done, I know people, one of the things that people are going to talk about is traffic. We've done the traffic study, and you can fill them in on
For the past 8 years, 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, since 2016, Route 370 has been seeing about a 0.5% decrease in average daily trip traffic. So traffic on 370 is on a downward trend, which is expected in the age of telecommuting.
And the type of people that are looking to move into these apartments, seniors certainly have a different traffic pattern. So there's 135 units that aren't going to cause the traffic during peak hours. So the other units are going to be geared towards professionals, young professionals, and their traffic patterns are much different. A lot of them work from home now, and since they've changed the lanes down on Route 370 and John Glenn, there is no traffic problem. And since we've been doing, since we've been, Mr. Dinsmore, you're out of order. Okay, so I have done that, you know, and the traffic study that they've done verifies that. Now, I'm not saying there is no traffic, that's not what I'm saying. But when we talk about congestion that really affects the lives of people, the study and my observations over the past 4 months just don't bear that out. You might have to.
Every single day.
You might have to, I've gone down there, so. But anyway,
I go there
we're gonna,
every
hold
single
on,
day.
hold on. You know, this isn't a public hearing, we're gonna have a public hearing on it. So when we do, certainly you'll be able to express your opinions on that.
You never looked at anything.
Okay, you'll have your opportunity to do that when we do the public hearing. So, as far as Easter, I hope everybody has a nice Easter. I'm going to be out of town visiting my my daughter and my granddaughter, and I'm going to enjoy that. So, hope everybody else does as well. Okay, we'll move on to the regular agenda items. May I have a motion to approve the 2023 CDBG 5-year plan and applications?
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Oh, I wanted to just comment, Mr. Moore and Mr. Rivzigno were out of town on personal business today. Oh, I didn't do department heads. You know what? Getting ahead of myself. All right.
Off the clock.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to, must be in a hurry
I
myself.
just want to acknowledge, thanks for the comments about the highway this winter. I'll pass it on to the crew, they deserve the credit. And to the public, yeah, it's time to start fixing lawns, cleaning out culverts, so if you see something, say something.
And we already talked about the signs.
Yes, the signs will be ordered tomorrow.
For what street?
For North Hayes.
Okay.
From North Hayes or all of Hayes?
The signs for all of Hayes will be ordered, yeah. And then I can actually start getting some dig safe markings on the ground tomorrow, which means if I can get, I may have some 30-mile-an-hour that are in stock, I can actually start installing them by next Thursday, so.
So they could be installed by next Thursday, is what you're saying?
If the stars align, yes.
Some of them.
Some of them.
Yes, some of them, not all of them, yeah.
They're starting at the Elks Lodge end.
Yeah, starting near the.
Toward Perryville Road.
Yes. And that's it.
Okay. Mr. Yeager? Ms. Falcone?
There's going to be a free prom dress event for all students on Sunday, April 23rd from 10 to 2 here in Town Hall.
Okay. And there's some nice stuff out there.
Very nice stuff.
All right.
What about shoes too? Are you?
I have some shoes, I have some jewelry. Were you interested?
No, my daughter just got her shoes delivered to the house yesterday, so prom dresses and shoes, you know.
I have some shoes.
Okay. Did I miss anybody? See, I had all my notes around department heads, and I missed them. That's why I check them off. Okay, think I got everything? All right, so let's start over. May I have a motion? I think we had a motion to approve the 2023 CBDG 5-year plan. Yep, and a second. Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstentions? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the materiality threshold for the GASB 87 leases as established at an annual exchange value per lease of $35,000 for the town of Lysander as both a leasee or a lessor?
I'll move that.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. All right, we had our comptroller here that explained that earlier. Bottom line is, this is for transparency. What it really does is that GASB is the Government Accounting Standards Board, and they came up with a regulation that if we have leases over a certain threshold, and we put it at $35,000, then we have to account for that on our budget and in all our accounting, so that people can see what we have, how much we're spending, how much we're taking in, and especially with spending. If we have leases that extend over 10 years, there's an impact over the 10 years, and that's why that regulation is in there. So this motion allows us to conform with that regulation. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. May I have a motion to accept the letter of intent filed by Landmark Challenger LLC for incentive zoning on a property known as Melvin Farm, the project. The town board hereby declares, itself as lead agency pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, secret for the project. The town clerk is hereby directed to forward said LOI to the town planning and zoning board and the Onondaga County Planning Board for review. The town planning board is requested to conduct a secret review and submit its findings to the town board.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Part of this, okay, we're declaring ourselves lead agency, and then we're gonna have the planning board do the secret process? Am I understanding that?
Yeah, we have to do that. Let's
So-
explain the process.
So, the planning board reviews seekers all the time.
Right.
Very well versed in it, but this is truly a town board action. So as part of the planning board review of the overall project, they're gonna go through part 2. And if they see anything on the part 2 of the seeker, they're gonna make the town board aware of it. So when the town board goes through part 2, they can maybe ask for further documentation, or maybe not ask for further documentation on specific areas of the part 2 seeker form.
Okay. So we're still gonna.
You guys are still gonna be lead agency, you're still gonna go through part 2 of the seeker form independently.
Right. We're just gonna get
Feedback on seeker
advisory information
from the planning board, correct?
from the planning board. Okay.
As well as onto that county plan.
Right. When I was looking through the first set I got, part of the incentive zoning says the applicant will submit a map of the surrounding properties in their zoning. I didn't see that. I'm not saying this is preventing me from voting tonight, but I just didn't see that map in with the other maps. I saw where, the current zoning and what their proposal is, but I didn't see what surrounds it.
We have 3 sets of maps in my office. They're large, they're huge though. They're large maps. So they submitted all of them. They're just not included in the package.
Okay.
So there's 3 different sets of maps in there. If you want to look at them, they're available.
Well, I just, when you look at a map on, I've been in a planning board meeting, when you look at a map where somebody's doing something, you only see that area, you don't necessarily see everything else, and, what they're asking for is definitely gonna be a change in what's around it. So, I had that concern. My other question, which I think we already answered, was about the solar farm that's part of this, but not part of it, so.
Well, it's not part of this. It's the only thing
It's
that,
in their letter of intent.
right, because they're leasing it out. It's in their letter of intent because that's part of the project, that's helping them fund it. But the letter of intent, that's a standalone on its own. The solar's gonna come in and they have to go through their own process with the planning board.
Right, but.
We don't act on that one.
Right, but it's part of, they're explaining that, as far as I'm concerned, with the incentive zoning process, it's part of this project. Even though it's separate, they're naming it as being, property saving aspect. I'm sure, I didn't read through the 80 pages I got yesterday, but it's part of the project, even though they're gonna broker it up.
It's on the same parcel of land, yes.
Right. So it counts. No matter how you cut it up, they might find a different company to do solar. It's part of this project. So, which we will talk about the moratorium when we get there. That was That was it on this end for you.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. May I have a motion to hold a public hearing on Thursday, May 18, 2023 at 6:30 PM at Lysander Town Hall to approve the zoning for the proposed Melvin Farm project. This motion shall authorize the town clerk to advertise for same.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, my question is, should we be scheduling a public hearing without the information back from the other boards?
We will, sorry, I was just gonna say, I'll submit everything to the county and they have time. I talked to Tony, does it know about the timing? So their next meeting will be before the public hearing with their recommendations.
Right. I understand that they'll have their meeting and we should hopefully get something back from them. But based on our incentive zoning process, we've got the complete application. But, it also says that we should have the recommendations before we go through the public hearing process. I guess what I'm saying is, we could have the public hearing, we could schedule a public hearing on May 18th, and what if the planning board looks at it on, the week before and says, well, this is no good?
We can always table that then. I mean, we can always postpone the public hearing or table the public hearing
Okay.
if we don't get all the recommendations back.
Yeah, because I remember, I believe something was, the last incentive zoning was, once the public hearing is started, isn't there a certain time frame it has to be completed? Isn't there a 60-day window or some kind of window where you start the public
With the
hearing
zoning,
process?
with the zoning decision, once you've had the public hearing, you have 62 days, I believe it is, to make a decision, yea or nay, or it's automatically approved.
Yeah, once it's closed, but you can,
No,
No, I think it's once it's closed, Kevin. I'm not positive. Yeah, if Tony was here, he'd be able to answer that, but I think it's once it.
If we
I
keep
think
it open.
Yeah, I think you can keep it open. I think that's why, like, you remember, Collington Point East was kept open for almost 4 months.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to put any kind of time constraint on making a decision.
I understand.
well, part of the problem with this is there is some time constraints, and it's for the school district. School district is very interested in this project, and their timetable for that they wanted to start doing, have a decision so they know which way to go with their septic is coming up, and that's the end of next year. That's why if you look at the letter of intent, they have to have the pump station in and the sewers up to Route 370 by the end of 2024.
Right.
So in order,
Well, this
the
is,
problem is we
this is
gotta,
a 50-year in the coming decision for the school district too. So I don't want to see the town of Lysander put under a thumb because the school districts dragged their feet on a problem they've had to take care of for at least 10 years. They know the end of life on their septic. I don't want to be pressured by the school district to make a decision because what could, affect the 60% tax levy that comes through the town of Lysander for the Baltimore School District. That's all.
I have a similar concern, and I want to hear a commitment from this board, if it makes sense to do that. I think we should go ahead with the public hearing, but I can't even imagine at the end of that night on May 18th voting yea or nay on this project. I want to either keep the public hearing open, or I want to be able to digest what I hear. And I just need a commitment that we're not going to rush this project through. That if we have to put off the vote for the final project at some later date, I'm not against the project, so don't read into what I'm saying. I just want to make sure that every I and T is crossed in my head against that.
Yeah, if we don't have enough information to do that, yeah, that would be a reasonable request to make, that we hold a public hearing open, sure.
Well, I
Yeah, and
just
if when
look
a
at-
lot of people come to the public hearing, I'm sure, I'll say, I'll talk to for myself, is I'm not gonna vote that night, but if no one comes or the usual people come, then, that's a different story.
Yeah, I don't think it's a different story. I just look at Kellington Point East, we were talking about adding 30 homes compared to what they could build. And we went through 3 months of public hearings, keeping it continued open. So I don't think this is getting decided in May or even June. And not in my head, but, I just sat out there and watched it. Maybe it'll go differently this time.
And I would assume at the public hearing, you're going to do or who's going to do a major presentation, from.
I would hope the developer, I would hope he's gonna be here for this kind of project. I expect to see 6 or 7
And I will
people
read
from the
through it,
developer.
But I would like to hear, I want to make sure that I'm hearing everything on that night about the project.
Okay.
I mean, I'm fine with keeping the timeline. I knew something had happened a few years back, and I didn't want to put anything under a constraint.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I have a motion to hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 20th, 2023 at 6:30 PM in the Lysander Town Hall to consider a local law under Article 29 to establish a moratorium on solar farms in the town of Lysander. This motion shall authorize the town clerk to advertise for sale.
I'll move that.
I'll second, no.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. May I have a motion to hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 20th, 2023 at 6:30 PM in Lysander Town Hall to review the revised map plan and report for the proposed Mills Road Water District submitted by CHA engineers.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. Where are we at with this project? I thought we were turning this thing into a referendum where the community had a vote, whether they wanted to do this or not.
We had to have something updated first, so.
Yeah, the map, I don't know, I gotta defer to Tony on this, because I don't know if we have to do another public hearing or not. I'm not sure.
I mean, we're not voting yay or nay on this.
No.
We're putting
No.
this out to the community. to
It's
say-
just, we
I
have
thought
to
we had to
do.
go back through the process, even though we had done it once, because we're going to,
Have the
Let
people
them-
vote.
Yeah, we're not
So we're
gonna.
just going through
Yeah,
the
we're not
motions
gonna,
again.
yeah, the referendum is still on.
Because we
There's-
rescinded that last time.
Yeah,
so
they
we have to
don't,
go
the only
through.
thing we changed, we got to go through the whole process because we're not making it permissive, we're holding, we're going to make it a mandatory.
A mandatory referendum.
Yeah, that's what we agreed to.
That's all I need.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. May I have a motion to accept the resignation of Elizabeth Jetty as wing person in the Highway Department?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Mr. Sweethead, this is like people seem to be resigning from the Highway Department. Any reason, did she give you any reason why she was wanted to leave? Was she getting another job? Or?
She was a personal health care person, and she signed up originally not having many hours, and then was taking care of a person in Auburn, and the opportunity opened up for work full-time, so,
Okay.
she couldn't get up at night and then take care of the person at the same time.
Yeah. Okay, that's reasonable. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, we have to add motion H here because due to some legal issues that came up. So, we have a motion to appoint William Diaz as a custodial worker with a salary of $15.38 per hour.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, I don't think there's any reason for an executive session tonight. I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.